heading out for what I hope to be a fairly long run today. Trying to spend roughly 3 hours on my feet. I'll just take it easy, see how we go. Probably about 30 minutes until there's some decent light about, but it's coolish, but the humidity's really high because we've just had a couple of weeks of almost continuous rainfall, so should be drying up today, but it'll be pretty rough. Still pretty dark out. About 3k in. Feeling pretty good. My knee and my right hip always seem to be a bit tender. I'm not too sure what's wrong with my hip. It's still pretty sore from when I fell off my bike about 3 or 4 months ago now, so it's taken its time to feel better, but yeah, the sun keeps coming. Starting to get some light now. I realised it about 5k in that the oatmeal I made myself last night to eat this morning, I completely forgot about. So, pretty mundane thought, but interesting, I guess, from an experiment standpoint to see how I go in the latter hours of this run. Do I have enough carbs in my water or my gels to sustain with that quick fire energy, or by missing that long slow burn, have I compromised this to just keep going, which is ultimately what I'm attempting here. Well, long and slow. I think the camera makes it look pretty light, but it's still rather dark. Putting the light on mainly to spot spiders ahead of running into them. Here comes someone. Out early, getting after it before it gets too hot. Good plan. $7k in. It's 5:50 a.m. in the morning. Of course, we're about 10 minutes out from the official sunrise time for the day, 6 a.m. So my headlamp is off, and it's looking like it's going to be a really nice one. So that'll help to keep me motivated here. person going to see me? Who knows? One thing that has really been apparent since I came back to Brisbane from Vancouver is people's driving habits. Vancouver, you come into a street, didn't even need to be a heavily pedestrian populated area, but people would just stop for you and err on the side of caution and safety. But here, man, people just love to run those corners and make record times and don't really care if cyclists or pedestrians are in the way. I'll just go for it. I'm pretty cautious, but I've nearly been struck a few times just by people trying to either get to work or home from work, 2 or 3 seconds earlier than they could. So maybe we just try to relax a little and be kind to each other. It's probably not worth being home 5 seconds earlier if you impact someone else's life and your own. With the exception of this hill, I really like Hamilton Road, especially this part of it, because it's got the wide grassy pedestrian boulevards, but then there's a couple of sections, and we're just running through one of them, where there's conservation parks on either side of the road, and they've put up fencing to keep the animals that reside in those areas pretty safe. And then up here there's a fauna crossing where the fences all lead to that in an attempt to provide safe passage. I've got a couple of ecologist friends, and I'd be curious to know if the data shows that these things actually work in other areas near where I live. They've established rope bridges that go over the roads, and I think they're primarily for koalas, but it wouldn't surprise me if other animals, in particular possums, use them a lot. They'll climb over anything. So here's what was a very permanent structure, presumably used for cars at some point, which is now a very wide fauna crossing. Good to see others getting out after it. Always feel a little funny having the camera on. I'm not trying to invade other people's lives. I typically try to switch it on when I can't see anyone. So anyway, I'm sure they'd voice their opinions if they weren't happy, but perhaps they haven't realised what's going on. Well, I'm rambling today. Pretty chatty. Maybe I'll be quiet for a while. Timing. Just cars. Really trying to keep it in zone 2 today, and with the exception of some of the early hills and hills along the way where I creep up just into zone 3, I'm really pleasantly surprised. I've been staying pretty low. I've been around 155 points, 150 or lower. Feeling good. Hopefully I can just keep chugging along for another hour and a half. Yeah, it's good. Trying to keep my eyes peeled for the new Xpeng G6. Just really perfect conditions so far, especially as that the sun hasn't broken out yet fully, so there's a nice breeze, and we're starting to see some cooler mornings, so it's great.
Come on, Bonzi.
get it done. It was 23 k's, about averaging 6 minutes per k. So there was about 2 hours 20 of running time, but I was probably on my feet doing something for maybe 2 hours 40, so close to that 3 hours, but I think I was a little depleted at the end there, so, but yeah, tremendously happy to get that done. Feeling good.